Hi guys, it's Keisha. Welcome back to my channel, or just welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my channel is all about racism and, more importantly, police brutality and solved and unsolved cases surrounding Black people. I'm just here bringing awareness to things that aren't usually spoken about. So I just want to show you guys my hat, my badge, and all the things that I'm wearing today. So the badges that I have on my hat are basically just two badges that I got. I think this one, the Black Lives Matter one, is off Etsy, and the other is from Black Poppy Rose, which I got in November in remembrance of the Black people that did serve in the war and do not get the recognition that they deserve. Usually people only do wear the poppies around Remembrance Day, which is in November in the UK, but I just haven't taken it off my hat, and I probably won't, because I think they should be remembered all the time, and it's just a gentle reminder. I don't wear the hat every day. And this badge is just something that I bought online, and I will link all of the little things in the description so you guys can check it out and potentially buy some of your own. This video is not sponsored by any of the people that I got these badges from. They are just something that I want to show you guys as usual, because I do love wearing little things like this. Let me know in the comments if you guys know any other places that I can get cute little badges like this. I do particularly want to support Black owned brands, or if the person selling them is giving profits to charities in these kind of organizations, then I'm happy to support them too. So today's video is all gonna be about Anthony Walker. So this was a unprovoked, racially motivated attack that happened in July 2005 in Liverpool by Michael Barton and his cousin Paul Taylor. So Anthony lived in Merseyside, Liverpool with his mother G Walker, along with his 5 siblings. His dad, Steve Walker, had separated from their mother, and he did live separate to them. So Anthony had 4 sisters and 1 brother. There was Donna, Stephanie and Dominique, who were older than Anthony, and then Angela and Daniel, who were both younger. The area that he kind of lived in was kind of known for being a little bit racist. All of the children attended Knowsley Hay High School, and all of the children had received some kind of racial comments and name calling during their time there. Anthony was described as such a lovable and sweet and compassionate person. Everybody who was in his life adored him. During the time of his death, it was the summer between school years, and he was in his 2nd year of A-levels, and he had the hopes of becoming a lawyer, and becoming a lawyer specifically to help tackle racism and immigrants and things like that. His core goal with being a lawyer was to be somebody who cared for the ethnic minority people, and he really wanted to be a spokesperson for those people. So on Friday the 29th of July 2005, Anthony was sat at home just kind of enjoying some downtime after sitting his A-levels really. He was babysitting his nephew Ruben along with his cousin Marcus Binns and along with his girlfriend Louise Thompson. His mother G and his younger brother Daniel were also both at home at the time. At around 11 p.m, Anthony and Marcus decided that they would walk Louise to her bus stop because it was really dark and it was quite late. Anthony told his mother where he was going, and she was perfectly fine with that and kind of let them go. They kind of said that they would stay with Louise until her bus arrived and she got on the bus, which is not an uncommon thing to do, especially in the UK. I definitely used to do that a lot with my friends. While the 3 were stood at the bus stop, kind of like minding their own business and laughing and joking between themselves, they had been noticed by Michael Barton, who was 17 at the time and was across the road in the local pub. He had come outside for whatever reason, and he was kind of stood there with a hooded top on and just kind of stood there and stared at them until they kind of noticed him. Michael Barton then started to shout racial abuse at the 3 of them. Obviously you can guess the kind of language he was using, that of the M-word, monkey noises, all of that type of thing. Michael then also began to shout abuse and make comments towards Anthony's girlfriend Louise because she was white and hanging around with 2 black boys. Anthony's family are devoted Christians, and Anthony did not want to get involved in any kind of confrontation with this guy. He told Louise and Marcus to just kind of let it go, just ignore him, but Michael just kind of got more and more riled up by them ignoring him, and then he began to threaten them physically and say that he was going to hurt them. So that's when the 3 of them decided that it would be best if they went to a different bus stop. The 3 of them left quickly because they still wanted Louise to be able to catch her bus, so they started making their way to the next bus stop. Michael then went back into the pub to rally his cousin Paul Taylor, who was 20 at the time. He basically just told his cousin that he was completely disrespected and humiliated by a couple of black boys, and they needed to go and get them. They then got into their car and quickly chased after Anthony, Marcus and Louise. They knew the general direction that they had gone in, so they quickly went that way, and they did see them walking down the road, which obviously scared them. So they then quickly decided to run, and they ran into McGoldrick Park just opposite. Knowing the area, Michael and Paul decided to drive around to the other side of the park quickly, because obviously they were going to be quicker than them. They were in a car, and that's when they decided to get out of their car and take a mountain axe weapon which belonged to Michael Barton, and then they went and hid in the bushes inside the park in a place that they knew that Anthony, Marcus and Louise were going to come down. Michael and Paul did exactly that. They ambushed the three teenagers. Louise and Marcus were able to get away, but Anthony unfortunately wasn't so lucky. Michael and Anthony were fighting each other and rolling around on the floor. Anthony was definitely getting the better of Michael at that point. Paul did kind of go after Marcus and Louise, but he could kind of see that Anthony was getting the better of his cousin, so he did go back over to Michael and Anthony fighting and kind of hit Anthony to get him off Michael. Once Anthony was off Michael, Paul did drive a mountaineering axe through Anthony's skull, which did embed itself around 6 centimeters in his head. While Anthony lay unconscious on the ground, and they did try to get the mountaineering axe out of Anthony's head to take with them, but a mountaineering axe is kind of designed to stay into whatever it is kind of forced into. Like when you're climbing up mountains and things like that, that is what a mountaineering axe is used for. So they could not get it out of his head and decided to run away and leave the crime and leave Anthony there. Eventually, Marcus did come back to Anthony in the park once he was safe. Him and Louise did go off to try and find help and find a phone to call somebody. I believe that Louise did go back to Anthony's house, and Marcus went back to find Anthony. When he did find Anthony, he did find two pedestrians that were just kind of there at the time who hadn't seen what had happened but saw Anthony lying on the floor and decided to try and help him and call an ambulance. Anthony was taken to Wiston Hospital, where his mother was told to meet him, but when she got there, they did want to transfer him over to Walton Neurological Centre, which they all went to from there, and then that is where Anthony was pronounced brain dead. At 5:25 the following morning, unfortunately, Anthony did pass away, but he was surrounded by his family at the time. Now, a big part that I want to be considered when you're listening to Anthony's case is that this case was worked very quickly. There was pressure on the police to solve this case and make sure it was done correctly. It also shows what the police can do when a fire is lit under them and they are actually doing their jobs correctly. This was something that they wanted to take really seriously because of what happened with Stephen Lawrence. Now, the case of Stephen Lawrence is a really big case that I will be covering on my channel, either before this or after this, I don't know, but it will be here for you guys to watch at some point. So both Michael and Paul had a reputation for racially abusing other people. They were known in their area and their community for being racist. Paul Taylor also had other convictions for battery and burglary as well. And at the time of Anthony's murder, he was on early release from a young offenders centre. So the way I'm going to talk about the days after Anthony's death are going to be kind of in order, and I'm going to give you the dates and kind of do it as a timeline so you guys can accurately see how quickly the police worked. The police generally use other cases as well as like training points, and I really would love to know if Anthony Walker's death played any contribution into training other police officers, because clearly this is the way that they should be dealing with all types of crime. So the day after Anthony's death, on Sunday the 31st of July, his family did a public appeal to kind of get people to give information into the police and try and figure out who had done this. Assistant Chief Constable Bernard Lawson had this to say in the beginning of the case. What we are dealing with here is an unprovoked and vicious attack on a young black man which we believe to be racially motivated. Immediately, tip-offs were coming into the police, naming Michael Barton and Paul Taylor as the most likely culprits behind this. The police obviously did have their suspicions, and all of this just kind of backed up those suspicions. On Monday, the 1st of August, the entire community of Liverpool just seemed to kind of be behind the case, as well as through the UK as well. The media was presenting and showing Anthony's death right on the covers. It was all over the papers, it was everywhere. Hundreds and hundreds of people flocked to the scene of where Anthony had been murdered and laid flowers and just little things as a kind of tribute to Anthony. By that evening, Merseyside police had also publicly named Michael Barton and Paul Taylor as the killers of Anthony Walker. This was kind of an unorthodox and unusual step for the police to kind of take, especially because they did not have Michael Barton or Paul Taylor in custody and hadn't even questioned them yet. What police were not aware of was that both Michael Barton and Paul Taylor had fled to Amsterdam just only a few hours after Anthony's attack. They drove over 300 miles to Dover to then catch a ferry into France and then drive a further 4 hours into Amsterdam. The pair were assisted by 3 other people who I will kind of come back to a little bit later on in the video. So on Tuesday the 2nd of August, it did become public knowledge that Michael Barton was the younger brother of Manchester City football player Joey Barton, and it also kind of all came out to the public that Paul Taylor was their cousin. Obviously, something like this could have a super huge impact on Joey Barton's career. Joey made a televised appeal for his brother to come back and hand himself in. He also brought up the fact that yes, they shared parents, but they had been brought up by 2 different parents and they were completely separate people, and he did not have much to do with his brother whatsoever. He really focused on the distance between the 2 of them. And a quote from Joey Barton is, "My side of the Barton family is sickened by his death. Although I was not brought up with Michael, I urge him to come forward. You must do this for the Walker family so they can mourn Anthony, because you know it is the right thing to do." But it also did emerge in court that Michael Barton had called his brother Joey and asked him for £1,000. Joey did say no and just kind of urged him to hand himself in. That evening, thousands of people gathered at St. George's Hall in Liverpool. It was just kind of a anti-racism kind of vigil where G. Walker, Anthony's mother, did speak about Anthony and what had happened. On the 3rd of August, there were kind of rumours flying around everywhere that Anthony and Michael had both been arrested in Amsterdam, but the Merseyside police did deny this. They said it was not true at all. They had not arrested either of them and they were still in Amsterdam at that time. By 6 p.m, there were flocks of media and press people and photographers, all kind of at John Lennon Airport. They were all waiting to see Michael Barton and Paul Taylor be taken off the airplane and brought back to the UK. The pair did get off the aeroplane with Merseyside police at their side, but apparently they weren't officially arrested until they were back on the UK soil. I don't know if I'm making this up, but I feel like when I researched this case, which was a while ago, that I did see some pictures of Michael and Anthony with a towel or blanket over their head, and they were handcuffed when they were getting off the plane. So I don't know if they were arrested in Amsterdam by Amsterdam's police and then the UK police came over and kept them detained until they were brought back to the UK where they were officially arrested. There was a lot of weird back and forth and rumours. Apparently the Merseyside police denied that they had done any of this and that they didn't bring Michael or Paul off the plane and it wasn't captured by anyone. The Merseyside police kind of stayed true to the story of that Michael and Paul came back voluntarily to the UK. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but that's all we can read. On Friday the 5th of August, Merseyside police did announce that Michael Barton and Paul Taylor were in custody and were being charged with murder. That evening, over 4,000 people showed up to accompany the Walker family in a candlelit walk honouring Anthony. I'm not sure where the walk started out, but I do know that they walked all the way to Goldrick Park and kind of stayed at Anthony's tribute site and just waited there for a while and said a few words. On the 25th of August, Anthony's funeral took place and almost 4,000 people turned up to pay respects at a cathedral in Liverpool. Mourners wore basketball shirts because Anthony was a big fan of basketball and they wanted to pay some kind of respect to him and kind of, I think, acknowledge how young Anthony was. He was 18, like he had his whole life ahead of him. The service was even broadcasted in Liverpool city centre on a massive screen for the public to also watch as well. So in November that same year, 2005, Paul and Michael were both put on trial for the murder of Anthony Walker. A couple of days before the trial, Paul Taylor actually did plead guilty to murder. Paul's defence lawyer did go out and say that Paul was horrified with what he had done and that he was strongly under the influence of cannabis at the time. I think all of it, even him pleading guilty, were just potential ways to help lower his sentence essentially. But regardless, Paul was sent to life imprisonment and he was set at a minimum of 23 years and 8 months. Michael Barton, however, did not plead guilty to any of this. It was played very heavily that he was young and unintelligent and didn't understand what he was doing basically. Michael's defense also asked for it to be taken into consideration that Michael didn't have any prior convictions. This was a first time offence, and they also wanted it to be acknowledged that Michael was not the one who killed Anthony. Yes, Michael did fight with Anthony, but he was not the one that inflicted the fatal injury that caused Anthony's death. After only a 2-week trial, the jury anonymously came back with a guilty verdict for Michael. Michael was given the sentence of 17 years and 8 months with the minimum of 16 years. But somewhere in this process, a promise had been made to G. Walker that both Paul and Michael would receive at least 18 years because that's how many years of life Anthony had. Clearly that didn't happen because Michael was only sentenced to 17 years and 8 months. The judge did kind of go on to explain why he had given these sentences and how he had calculated them. So at the time it was a minimum of 15 years for a murder, and if it was a racist murder, that was supposedly doubled. But the judge did grant Paul leniency due to his guilty plea, which the judge also said required real courage. Basically said that Paul's goal here was not to kill, it was to seriously injure, which is why he had granted leniency on him. I think it is disgusting, I think it is vile that murderers get granted leniency on things that they have no business being granted leniency on. I think it is so disturbing that even through the evil of this case, and the entire world was looking at this case like it was evil, they all understood that this was evil, but this judge decided that he would grant leniency for these people. Paul Taylor attacked Anthony Walker with a mountaineering axe, and this judge granted leniency on the fact that he was not meant to kill Anthony. Who's causing serious harm with a mountaineering axe? Who doesn't have the intention to kill somebody if they are going to stab them in the head with a mountaineering axe? Yes, this judge did the right thing and convicted these 2 people, but at the same time, he still showed this insane bias towards it. But also, I do think maybe some kindness could have been instilled from G. Walker. They were Christians and they were devoted to God and they were very forgiving and loving people. G. Walker was willing to accept the apology of Paul Taylor, so I do think that may have played a part into why some lenience was granted to them as well. The judge did also say this: "You took from Anthony Walker his most precious possession, that is to say his life and all it held for him. He was a young man of enormous promise, lost in a moment. You have damaged forever the lives of those who loved him. Further, you have destroyed your own lives and affected the lives of all who are dear to you." After the trial concluded, there was a series of racist graffiti left at the McGoldrick Park memorial site for Anthony, which was investigated by the police, but it did not turn anything kind of up, nothing came from it. In May 2006, Robert Williams, Tracy Gardner and Paul Mawson were also found guilty of aiding Paul and Michael get to Amsterdam. Paul Taylor is still serving his sentence behind bars for killing Anthony Walker, and in 2013 there was also some reports on Paul Taylor actually still having access to Facebook while in jail and posting a numerous series of racial comments on his Facebook page, which did lead to Facebook removing his social media page from there. Meanwhile, Michael Barton's sentence was reduced by a year in 2016. Apparently, Michael Barton has been displaying enormous good behaviour and he needs to be commended on it and stuff like that. It was reported that Michael was genuinely remorseful for what he had done to Anthony, and that he also understands that it is an irreplaceable loss for the Walker family. Michael Barton is now 31 years old, and just last year in October 2020, he did have a parole hearing to be moved to a more open kind of prison. It has been openly stated that Michael will most likely be released at the end of his 16 years that he had to do as a minimum, which will be this year in 2021. Although Michael did not kill Anthony, he was the one that seeked out action against Anthony, and he was the one who supplied the murder weapon. So in 2006, the Anthony Walker Foundation was created. This does work to tackle racism, hate crimes and discrimination. It offers opportunities for victim support services, educational opportunities, as well as like promoting equality as well. Also in April 2008, the Crown's prosecution also announced a legal scholarship for ethnic and minority people in the memory of Anthony. The scheme offers one place in CPS Merseyside for one person who wants to be a barrister or a solicitor. This is a full scholarship and they will offer you the full training and works and get you from A to B. And I think that is such an amazing thing to do in Anthony's memory. It is open to any black or ethnic minority that kind of secured or intended to apply to the legal practice course. I think that is a super amazing thing that they've done, but I do again also feel that it does not compensate Anthony's death. But the Crown prosecution didn't have to do that for Anthony's memory, so I will respect that. I think it is a beautiful way to remember Anthony. I think good should come from any kind of tragedy, and there has been some lovely things set in place as a tribute to Anthony. Also, if you guys have not seen, there is a BBC One drama that is online that you guys can watch. It is a 90-minute drama that talks about Anthony's life. It basically shows an aspiring life of what Anthony could have had, and him being a lawyer and how he could have affected different people's lives and had children and a wife and all of these things that he did not get to do. It also does show his death too and the actual outcome, but it is done in a really lovely and respectful way. G. Walker, his mother, did work with them on this as well, and she was very happy with the outcome. It is definitely a boo-hoo kind of You Need Tissues TV show, but I think that everyone should watch it because it was so beautiful to watch and it was heartbreaking. Sitting here and listening to me talk about it is one thing, but to sit and actually see and visualize what Anthony could have had is something else that I can't give to you guys. I am so happy that the Walker family got justice for Anthony, and I am so happy that they did not have to fight for it and they did not have to beg for it. But I do think we should also remember that this kind of case doesn't really hold anything to police brutality cases, because this was a member of public that committed these crimes, and police brutality is police committing the crimes. So please don't get the two confused, and the kind of justice that the family got, don't get that confused with the justice that police brutality's families still haven't got. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it is super sad and heartbreaking, and that's what I'm pushing on my channel, and you guys that need to see that need to see it. I have also linked below all the charities and organizations that I have seen for Anthony, as well as the ones that I spoke about in this video. Make sure you guys are always checking in my description box after the videos, because there is always things in there and socials and websites that you guys can visit to see different types of things and how you can help. It's not always just information about the specific case we're talking about. There is always resources there for all aspects. Make sure you guys do comment down below any cases that you guys want me to report on that you haven't seen on my channel yet, because I am always looking for new cases. I definitely will start doing American cases a little later into the channel. I do really want to focus on UK cases at the moment until I feel like I have gotten enough of that content out there to then start mixing it up and bring something new to the channel. Remember guys, that I'm here for anybody and everybody that wants to talk about racism. If you want to talk about an experience you're having, you don't quite know how to handle it, if somebody's being racist to you, if you've misunderstood a situation where you were told you were racist and you don't quite understand why, please feel free to drop a comment below and I will look at all of them and make sure I get something back to you guys. Also feel free to message me on my social medias, that is all in the description box as well. I am here for everybody. I want everybody to be good and safe and okay. So make sure that you guys stick around, stay loud, stay proud and stay educated, okay? Bye.